The night was quiet in the billionaire's mansion, the kind of silence that felt heavy, almost unnatural. He lay in his massive bed, eyes closed, pretending to be asleep. No one knew the real reason behind his act, not even his loyal maid, a hard-working black woman who had been with him for years. Little did she know, tonight was going to test more than her routine chores. It would challenge every assumption he had ever made about trust, loyalty, and human nature. He had watched her move through the house countless times, always diligent, always careful. But something in him stirred a strange curiosity. Could someone so devoted really be as honest as they appeared? Or was there a hidden side to her that no one had seen? As he listened to the soft sounds of her footsteps, his heart raced not from fear, but from anticipation. The maid moved quietly, carrying out her nightly tasks with the same grace and care she had shown every day. But then, he saw something that made him freeze. What he witnessed in those few moments would leave him questioning everything he thought he knew. His mind went blank, his body frozen, as if time itself had stopped. What happened next would change the way he viewed her forever, and perhaps even change the course of their lives. One simple decision, one silent test, had led to a discovery that no amount of money or power could prepare him for. The question now hung in the air. Could he handle the truth, or would it shatter everything? The maid had been with him for nearly 5 years, a constant presence in the sprawling mansion. She knew the rhythm of the house better than anyone. When the gardener finished his rounds, when the chef prepared meals, when the night security made their rounds, she was quiet, efficient, and never asked questions. To the billionaire, she was more than an employee. She was someone who seemed untouchable in her honesty. Yet tonight, curiosity had driven him to test her in a way he had never dared before. As he lay there pretending to sleep, memories of their interactions flashed through his mind. He remembered how she had once stayed late to clean after a small accident, how she always noticed the tiniest detail, a missing document, a spilled drink, a forgotten envelope, and fixed it before anyone else even realized. There was a precision to her work that both amazed and unnerved him. Tonight, however, the tension in the air was different. Something about the way she moved, the subtle hesitation in her steps, made him wonder if she sensed something was off. He tried to steady his breathing, to convince himself that he was imagining it. But the quiet creak of the floorboard caught his attention. Then, she stopped, not at the usual place where she paused to arrange things, but somewhere closer to his room. His eyes, still closed, strained to catch every movement, every shadow. There was a pause, long enough to make his heart pound, and then a sound, a faint whisper of movement, almost like a secret being shared with the walls themselves. He didn't know what she was doing, and yet, he knew this moment would change everything. Something was about to happen, and it was beyond anything he could have predicted. He had seen her countless times during the day, always smiling politely, always keeping to herself. But tonight was different. In the dim glow of the hallway light, her movements seemed almost calculated, deliberate in a way he hadn't noticed before. He wondered if she had any idea he was awake, if she felt the weight of his gaze even in the darkness. His mind raced with possibilities. Was she hiding something? Or was this just the natural caution of someone working in a house filled with wealth and secrets? Meanwhile, she had her own thoughts. She wasn't aware of the test being played out, but she sensed a tension in the air. That night felt heavier than usual. Something about the house felt different, as if it were holding its breath along with her. She went about her tasks methodically, yet there was a flicker of hesitation in her eyes, a shadow of doubt that perhaps tonight would not be like any other. The conflict wasn't just between them, it was between perception and reality, between trust and suspicion. The billionaire's curiosity had sparked a silent battle in his mind, a war between his belief in her loyalty and the fear that one small misstep could betray that trust. At the same time, the maid was navigating a maze of silent expectations, carrying the weight of unspoken rules and invisible judgments. Unaware of the scrutiny she was under, from the shadows of the room, he noticed details he had never paid attention to before: the way her hands moved, the rhythm of her steps, even the faint sound of her breath. Every tiny gesture seemed loaded with meaning, every pause an unsolved puzzle. The mansion, normally a place of comfort and control, had transformed into a stage for an unspoken test neither of them fully understood. And in that charged silence, a question lingered. What would happen if the truth revealed itself? Every creak of the floorboard felt louder than it should have, every shadow stretching across the walls like it carried a secret. He lay still, heart hammering, barely daring to breathe, as the maid moved closer to his room. Her steps were measured, precise, almost hypnotic, and he couldn't tear his eyes away, even with them closed. He knew that one wrong move could shatter everything he had built, not just in wealth, but in trust. From her perspective, the night had shifted in subtle ways. Something about the atmosphere made her senses sharper, her instincts more alert. She glanced around corners, adjusted objects silently, yet she could feel the weight of someone watching, even if she didn't know who. There was a tension she couldn't name, a feeling that tonight would test more than her diligence. It would test her character, her courage. Back in the room, he struggled to contain the mix of fear, curiosity, and anticipation swirling in his chest. Questions ran through his mind faster than he could control. What if she discovered him awake? What if the truth he thought he wanted to uncover changed everything about how he saw her? The mansion, usually a place of order and control, felt like a trap. Each shadow a possible revelation. Then it happened, a subtle, almost imperceptible gesture. She reached for something near his bedside, her hand lingering just a fraction longer than necessary. His breath caught. Every second stretched into an eternity, every movement amplified. The air seemed to thicken, charged with a silent electricity, and in that moment, he realized he was about to witness something that could neither be unseen nor undone. And as his eyes strained in the darkness, the tension reached its peak. What she was about to do next would either confirm everything he feared or shatter all his assumptions. Just as he thought he had a grasp on what was happening, something unexpected shifted the entire atmosphere. The maid froze for a moment, her eyes darting toward the door as if sensing an unseen presence. The billionaire's pulse quickened. This wasn't part of his plan. He hadn't anticipated that she might be aware of something beyond his observation. Then, in a quiet, deliberate motion, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, folded envelope. His mind raced. What was she hiding? Bills, personal letters, or something far more significant? The simple object, so unassuming in her hands, suddenly carried the weight of every unspoken truth between them. Every instinct he had honed in wealth and power failed him. He had no idea what to expect next. Meanwhile, the maid's thoughts were a storm of their own. She had stumbled across a secret she wasn't supposed to see, something that belonged to the billionaire himself. Her loyalty battled with the fear of consequences, her instincts urging caution, while curiosity pushed her forward. She hadn't known her quiet actions would intersect with the billionaire's silent test in such a dangerous way. The tension in the room became almost unbearable. Every second felt like it stretched into minutes. He could feel the mansion itself holding its breath, the shadows deepening, the silence broken only by the soft rustle of fabric and the faint sound of her controlled breathing. The simple test he had set up had spiraled into something far more complicated and far more dangerous. At that moment, one wrong move, one slip of the hand, could ignite a revelation that neither of them could undo. And in the dim light of the bedroom, the billionaire realized he had stumbled into a twist far beyond what he had imagined. And the night was far from over. The billionaire's eyes widened as the maid slowly opened the envelope. Inside were photographs carefully taken, but unmistakably revealing. At first, panic surged through him. Had she been spying? Was his trust misplaced? But as he watched her, a new understanding dawned. The photographs weren't evidence of betrayal, they were proof of something else entirely. She had discovered a hidden truth about the mansion, a danger he had never noticed, and had kept it safe, quietly protecting him in ways he could never have imagined. The tension broke in an instant as he realized the depth of her loyalty. Every moment of doubt, every shadow of suspicion, evaporated in the face of her courage and integrity. She hadn't been working for him merely out of duty. She had been safeguarding him and the household all along, quietly handling threats he hadn't even known existed. His heart pounded, a mix of relief and admiration flooding through him. But the night wasn't finished with its surprises. As he moved toward her, intending to acknowledge her bravery, a sudden noise echoed from the far side of the mansion. Someone or something was moving in the shadows. The envelope fell from her hands, and they both froze. What they had just discovered was only the beginning. The photographs hinted at a larger seeker,